All right. So let's do a little VOD review from US Nats 25 Vegas. I guess our second time at Vegas. We got a couple Prism games to go over. Andrew is here with us for his winning in, and then we'll do top eight after this one. Do it as two separate videos.
Mhm.
So this was round 14, Prism versus Florian. Did you win the die roll or did Randy?
I I did win the die roll. It was like the one of the only die rolls I won all weekend.
All right.
uh,
So choosing to go first, pretty
yeah,
standard in aura matchups. Um,
exactly. Florian's not the best at converting
mhm.
a lot of the time, so it doesn't
Yeah.
hurt us too much to go for the high roll,
Yep.
especially with the new Herald giving us like a really good turn zero high roll.
Yes.
Uh,
If
and
we
mine's pretty decent.
yeah, merciful turn zero arsenal something is pretty good as well. Standard loadout, Halo Vestige, Calming Gesture, Footsteps, and no surprises from Florian. I think Barkskin is probably better than Tunic for them. I've seen some running Tunic, but
I've seen both. I think that depending on how defensively the Florian is gonna want to play the game, it kind of switches the two because like
okay,
blocking out and Tunic Reaping Blading a Spectre is a really good thing for them to be able to do if they need to.
sure.
Um, but Barkskin, is just the extra two block to cover an erudition or something.
Hmm.
So I'm not usually surprised to see either of them. Honestly, I think I expect if I see Barkskin for them to uh, maybe lean a little more aggressively. That isn't exactly what happens this game,
Hmm.
but
Interesting.
it's not too big of a signal.
With Barkskin, you expect them to be more aggressive?
Yeah, because I feel like they're more likely to like try and keep cards and use their armor to cover, as
Okay,
opposed to
sure.
Tunic, where they'll want to like
They have to give
let the
two
game drag
cards
out and get
to.
value
Okay,
over of the
sure.
Tunic with the Reaping Blade.
Okay. Um, yeah. Turn Zero is one of our favorites in this matchup of just merciful Arsenal pass, and we're cool with it.
Can't
Um,
complain.
yeah. Um,
Uh,
this. Hmm,
so trying to remember what I arsenaled here. I think it was just a triumph, if I remember correctly.
that sounds about right.
Uh, yeah. Uh,
And Randy already saying he's going to play this match super slow, of
yeah.
like not even just
Just
burn the Everbloom, just like fully, just one card clear it, clear
mhm.
merciful and hold two extra cards. And this light, like your Light of Soul, I think hit three times this game.
At least twice, yeah. At least
Yeah.
twice. So
Um,
this is kind of an example of a game where things go right,
yes,
um,
for sure.
which makes up for me doing some things wrong.
Hmm. Um,
Uh,
so Figment of Protection here. I don't think this is what I grab in this spot.
what do you think you grab here?
I either grab. I honestly might just grab Erudition just to have it out of the deck,
Hmm.
because into Florian I want protection actually available for Halo turn, because
Sure.
if he sends one rune
For the
chant over, he
grasp it.
can't just send one rune chant over the top.
Hmm.
Then that's something I've been playing to more often, as well as if Condemned to Slaughter is in the list, that gives me insulation there.
Sure.
Um, War is unfortunately in your hand,
In
which
the
would
hand, yes.
be
That's what
like,
I wanted to get if I
yes,
had the option,
yes,
for
that
sure.
that I think is ideal. But like, I think I've become more okay with just kind of burning the Shariah Ponder in some of these matchups, especially where I
Hmm.
have a priority target on um, my pivot turns. Uh, but I think protection has become a higher priority on those pivot turns than other ones, just because that spectral shield is so useful in this matchup.
Sure. And with the condemn thing, I could definitely see that. For me, pitching one versus getting the Arsenal one doesn't make too much of a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And I think especially if they do get their full decompose on by the time I go for the combo,
Sure,
I'd rather have the extra card to pitch to multiple rune as opposed to only having the one.
sure.
I haven't run into too much condemn, so it's not usually on my mind as
Mm-hmm.
heavily.
Gotcha.
I think he does have it, as it turns out.
Yeah.
Just doesn't get to use it. So, it
Yep.
definitely could have been a smaller thing, but I think I can definitely see it going both ways. I just I kind of like having that extra ponder.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
think
I
it,
mean that extra look is worth so much when you have exactly 8 cards to find gas, and
yeah,
getting it to be 9 has 100% been relevant for me before. So like,
sure. And it's worth noting that I'm also not on extra auras. I'm not on Parable of
yes.
Humility, so I have to. I feel like I have to try and dig a little harder
Sure.
post combo to make sure things hit.
That's fair. And admittedly protection is one of the better ones, and I think you end up using it for like it's flipped. This is the one where you don't make spectral shields with it, and top 8 is where you
Yes.
do. But protection is
Yeah.
a decent one early, especially with how much soul you have, where like you can buy
Mhm.
yourself a decent bit of room. And I've had
Yeah.
Aegis come out early and just do work in this matchup because they can just not get over the break points. So
Yeah. All right. Anyway,
yeah,
Triumph, we love it. We do expect, a decent number of 7 power poppers potentially out of Florian.
yeah.
Um, so it's never guaranteed, but
Hmm.
I'm gonna lead on something. It's gonna be that.
Yeah, I think the number is somewhere 3, 6, up to 9 at the most. I've seen some with 9, but it's
Yeah.
not common.
Yeah. Thing to note here,
Mm,
when I see this defense reaction come out of him on the first Herald,
yeah,
um, I kind of suspect from that he has a 6 power popper of some
yep,
sort in his hand. So I'm like, I'm gonna not send the Ravages that I'm gonna put in Arsenal. I'm gonna send the other
yep.
Triumph instead, um, which I think turns out to be exactly correct, and he just Arsenal passes.
Yeah, he just full holds the
Keeps a
popper.
card.
Would there have been a consideration to grab Figment of Triumph off that Light of Soul trigger then? If you wanted to, like,
Um,
because you don't have that information at the time of fetching the Figment, but there's also not great
no,
times to use Triumph necessarily in this matchup.
yeah, I don't think I usually do that. I think usually before the combo, I just want to get value of some sort to extend my runway a little bit, like
Sure.
even just by a little. Like the 1 point has mattered so much,
Yeah,
um,
for sure.
which is not. So I think usually if I'm gonna have the Triumph in deck at some point, it's gonna be off of like a late game Herald of Sechem
Sure.
to get the power, or just maybe another random Light of Soul hit that
Yeah.
works. That
Yeah.
can always happen.
Yep. Um, and then ends up letting that Erudition hit, which I think is fine at this point. It doesn't matter a ton, and he's just kind of playing a value game. Like, he's not keeping you off
Yeah.
soul, he's not keeping you off Figments, and
Hmm.
you have a card already. So
Yeah, didn't have go again, wasn't the
yeah,
hugest punish. Um, so yeah, it made sense, a certain amount, and I was just
yeah,
happy to get more of my stuff out of the deck because that's
yeah.
all we want against Florian.
Yep.
Get the Figments out of the deck.
Figments on board is the name of the game. So um,
So
I'm trying to remember
for the
which.
most part,
He's playing this so slowly. He's still
yeah.
he's still holding this popper, right? It's the erase face.
I
No.
think so. Yeah. I don't think he used it on, but he might have used it on the Ravages actually. Last turn, I can't. I missed it. We were talking.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh, no, he did
yeah,
use
he
the
used it
erase
on the
face, but
Ravages.
then he ended up holding. I'm trying to. We'll see what it is.
Mhm. I think it was a fruit that he is going to ditch to gain life, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Oh, is this where it gets missed? No.
Oh no, it's not. So
There was a point where he discarded a fruits and he went +2 life when he was at higher life than you.
okay, yeah,
At one point.
yeah, that did get missed in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't. It
live
didn't end
play
up
versus
mattering.
Talishar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there are a few things that get missed honestly over the course of these games, but
Yeah. I
we'll
mean,
try and
these are long. These are long games, so you're playing kind of fast on it in timed
yeah,
rounds. So
Florian is one of the matchups that I've gone like to time, like time the
yep.
most. So I'm really focused on just trying to push the tempo a little bit to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And we end up having plenty at the end, so we could have
Mhm.
taken a little bit more to not make little silly errors, but some of them do happen anyway.
This looks like he's almost playing fatigue, but really it's just like he has not found like any of his threats.
Yeah,
Oh, this is the
this right here is
+2.
the first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a question about this block. Because you have this Genesis in hand, and it's the first Genesis you've seen, are you supposed to keep this card for the potential Purgatory discard?
Yeah, so this is the first, I'd say, major mistake I make this game. I've got a Pierce Reality in Arsenal, as I recall.
Yes.
So the play I want to make is send the Triumph, play the Pierce,
Yep.
Arsenal the Genesis,
Yep.
right? And yeah, by blocking there, for the 3 life, it's just completely unsafe. It's, of course, not only does it lose to the face Purgatory, but it loses to, if he does have a 7 power popper on this turn.
Yeah.
He wants to use. So now that was absolutely a mistake. I could have and should have just kept it as insurance, because holding a blue on a turn where like you're ready to go off at any moment is perfectly fine as well if he doesn't have it.
Yeah.
But I think at the time I was a little too focused on, all right, it's taking a while. I need to find my pieces. Let me make sure I cycle this card out of my hand to dig a little further, and just kind of skipped over until the moment I was like, when I went to send this round, I was like, this is a little unsafe, and if I know my Florians, this is a time they kind of want to crack this.
Yeah.
So I just, fingers crossed he didn't, but he had it.
Yep. Yeah. This was. This is where Prism as a combo deck kind of gets people, I think, and it's like, this is one of the things where it's like you kind of have to. I still have to fix this sometime, and I still like I've messed up Purgatory triggers so many times before, where it's just like holding the wrong card or like hoping they have a popper, especially on just like a regular Herald and they don't, and like.
I think honestly, if it wasn't a Triumph, then it's maybe a little more defensible because it's more likely that they just pop it rather than use the face there. Just a little bit. I think it's still worth keeping.
You still get stuck with the Pierce in your arsenal.
And I still get stuck with if it loses to the popper anyway. What am I saying?
Yeah.
What am I saying?
But
doesn't work out so well.
Yeah.
So I'm just playing out the Pierce there to kind of make sure I don't take too much on this, and so I can just clear the arsenal for if I do find another piece soon.
Yeah.
We find library.
We do find one of our Fableds, which I guess is the third Fabled that you've seen this game.
Indeed. And I make I make this play to try and get the library active.
Yeah.
On this turn, which is not terrible.
Yeah.
I think I probably am okay to banish Soul to get the shields here. I've got a couple. It's probably not too bad. I was a little worried because since I have been getting the figments out, I'm just a little bit worried about running Soul dry during an eventual combo when I do find it.
Sure.
But I don't think that was that bad. At the same time, I don't think I necessarily needed to go for the Angel here because I have the gold token.
Sure.
I think it would have been probably better to crack the gold first, draw a card. If I get either a yellow or another Herald, I can send the Herald that way and play the library and still have the Angel and the Soul regardless.
Yeah.
So this, there's a number of points throughout this game where I could have cracked the gold more effectively than what ends up happening. I think this is the first one of those. And a lot of it, I think, especially before the combo, is just me mainly thinking of the gold as that extra resource insurance for the turn. I think I just haven't played enough with it to kind of value the other uses as highly.
Sure. Yeah, I have not tested with Riches a ton. We ended up cutting it about a week before Nats, but that extra pitch outlet for getting library out has seemed very appealing. For these kinds of matchups where if you just have double yellow in hand, you just kind of ponder your library out, and it's looked really good.
I've even had games where I got to do it off of a single yellow because I had Genesis in play.
Ooh.
That single-handedly swung that particular test game.
That's fair. Okay. So
What was the
this
hand here?
is
Just a bunch of heralds and a figment, basically. There's a passing mirage.
Passing Mirage, Genesis, Figment, Double Herald, I
Oh,
think.
there was Genesis? Oh, the Genesis was here.
Yeah, it's the middle. The middle.
So clearly that's what we want to put in Arsenal
Yep.
at this end of this turn.
And I think we're also good to play the passing out if we can. It is a Herald of Sechem, actually, there in the middle right now, which is
yeah, I don't have a yellow
live.
herald, unfortunately.
Yep.
No, so the hand is Judgment, Blue War Tune, Sechem, Passing, Genesis.
Yeah, which is a slightly awkward hand. It's not awkward, but it's just not what you want for these cards.
Sure. And also worth noting, only one yellow other than the Genesis. So
Yep.
unless I crack the gold this turn, again, another opportunity to try and get the library online that I don't take advantage of.
Maybe a little bit less sure to get it online than the previous turn where you like start with 2 yellows.
But at the same time, I've got Genesis at this, so I've got library out at this point, which means I don't need the gold for the one resource necessarily.
Yeah.
So I can instead try and just use it more proactively.
So this, because this was Runechant plus E-Strike Go again, with leaving one floating for presumably Sword. Is there an argument for cashing in the Angel for holding these 2 cards? Because you would it wouldn't be great. You'd have to pitch a blue, right?
Yeah. This is a scenario where I think the better line is probably to pitch the Blue War Tune to the Runechant and use Footsteps in the Angel to cover. That way I can, on my turn, have my hand is Genesis passing yellow Sechem. So I can crack the gold. If I draw a yellow, fantastic. I get to send Sechem with library active now and then play the passing afterwards. I think that would have been the better line here. Again, it's not guaranteed, but like almost anything I draw, I can at least still do the line of sending the Sechem and playing the passing mirage. Even if library doesn't end up being active. So this was just me kind of again, I wasn't thinking about using the gold. So I wasn't as concerned with trying to get library on and keeping cards. So I'm just like, try and keep the Angel, keep the life buffer as high as I can, was the thought. But I think it would have been better to take a slight gamble, but it's not that bad of one.
Yeah, I think either way it ends up probably fine. I guess just the hedge here is like, if something weird happens, you always have like just passing Arsenal Genesis is, I assume, what you're looking at when you block out this way.
Yeah, it is essentially it, because I'm assuming from what he's played so far, he will just instantly target down the passing mirage, which if I draw the combo hand right there, I've got the gold, so I don't need library on to go for it. If I don't, then we can keep things rolling with tempo.
Yeah, and Aegis can go ahead and make 2 shields or something like that if something weird happens, which Aegis probably would never live that turn, but like...
No, if I full block out right there, Aegis never lives.
Yeah.
And the benefit of... Yeah. It's just a little bit of value, a decent chunk of value lost, honestly, by taking this line instead of the other one. But we get the passing, which
that value is really just time. Kind of ending up weird. Is this another Sechem without a yellow herald, isn't it?
I think so. It's definitely not the combo hand. I remember that.
Yeah.
Because I had library active when I actually went for it. There's another fruits.
Yep. So Erudition, Sechem, Yellow Wrath, Blue War Tune.
Yep. Again, no yellow herald for the Sechem. So this hand is kind of just herald.
Double herald vanilla. We get back into our library cycle, and we're okay with it.
Yeah, I considered which herald to send first here because I can send both of them because it's a working regardless of the pop. I figure if he is going to pop, he probably is going to do it early, so I'll save the one with the on hit for later, which is exactly what happens.
Interesting. I would, because Sechem to me is just like almost not even worth blocking as Florian, where it's like I would think they would just hold the popper and just not even bother popping a Sechem, and I'm just like, cool, I got 7 damage.
I would normally think so. He's playing so defensively, though, that I
Sure.
figure he would take the opportunity.
That's fair.
Um,
But
yeah. And besides, if he doesn't block it, 7 life down is not nothing, given how much we have to
yeah,
grind through at the end.
yeah, it isn't nothing. But now library is gone.
No, the ones, and I have it right this turn, kind of at least. It's not ideal,
Yeah.
but it's absolutely a turn I would go for it.
Okay. I would probably be hesitating to send a double Genesis combo like this, especially since the third one is gone. If this, like, it's unlikely for this to it's hard for this to fizzle just because Genesis gives us a decent amount of extra filtering, especially at with 2 of them. But also it's very easy if there's a Summer's Fall here, stuff can get awkward, it feels like.
I mean, a little bit. I think I'm mostly resigned to the idea that if I go for it right here and I don't hit an Arclight or something, that I will lose the Soraya
Yeah.
and possibly one of the Genesis. And I don't know. It's just with that being my last library hand, like the full 5, it at the time, again, I don't know if this is fully correct. It kind of felt like this was the turn to go for it. Now, one little thing I missed here is I missed the opportunity to get an extra soul and figment out, or at least guarantee get it, I should say, with the Light of Soul.
Oh, if you pitch Light of Soul. Wait.
So
I'm not sure if there is. I don't know if there is a way.
You can do it. So what it is you Halo for Avalon, pitching a different card.
Yeah.
Stack the Herald, and then pitch the Light of Soul to play the first Genesis from Arsenal.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I can get it and get the Soraya and go from there.
Okay, yeah, because you're committed to playing that first Genesis out of Arsenal no matter what anyways, and you always have the resources in hand from library. Okay, sure.
Now it hits anyway, so it ends up not actually making a difference, but
yeah.
It's little optimizations like that I'm just finding all over the place in this particular game.
Yeah, I have such a heuristic in my head of Shariah needs to draw before I play any of my auras, and that's when you're on library, you don't need that heuristic anymore.
So we don't find the ALS off of this, so all we're going to be doing is sending another Herald and playing the second, playing both Genesis, which
is still like a good board state to have. Like,
and in fairness, if I am going to double Genesis, sending an attack with them makes it somewhat better, because that does draw more blocks and makes it less likely for him to be able to clear multiple things in theory.
Yeah, if he has swarmings or something, it can get harder.
Yeah.
But this is not like the standard, and it just feels a little weird to me. But I don't know, with your where your life total is at and how full Soul is, I'm probably pretty content to wait, even though library is gone.
Yeah, it's a fair check, and it's like, it's not like he's very likely to play a plow into me. He just discarded 2 of them.
He did just discard 2 of them, so.
So I think there is a strong argument for waiting. I think it was just getting a little antsy.
Sure.
I guess it's been taking a while to find any of the pieces.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Light of Soul actually being in that hand does also help it a little bit, just because you are getting 2 figments out on that turn, and having those extra figments does kind of guarantee you a little bit of extra gas after that pivot, especially into Florian, where he's going to struggle to clear angels. So Light of Soul actually might make it like a little bit better, just because you are plus an extra figment.
I think if I've still got protection around, it's much better.
Yes.
Because the Bologna Aegis pivot with a bunch of soul is like incredibly hard for him to deal with.
Yeah, it's super good.
So you
just hold double yellow, and like the turns are just crazy for like 2 or 3 turn cycles, and you're just up an insane amount of tempo. So
going back to that premature flip because we missed the gold thing again. Fortunately, this hand is he can't clear multiple things. He can just clear Soraya, and I do draw some board pieces. So I get bailed out a little bit there.
Yeah, Bramble can't trigger for any arcane to even take a card. When you can't like clear Genesis and Shariah in any way with that hand. So double, that was Wrath plus War Tune goes in. And we have Merciful and Passing.
And I'm very happy to, since I have the resources, just send the one, draw some stuff. If he goes for a pop, I've got the Merciful, and we're ready to go to Angel Town after that.
And he just...
But I still have the resources to do both regardless.
Yeah, and just taking it here is like...
Yeah, and him saying no blocks is interesting, given the circumstances. I would have expected some more. And of course, what ends up happening is I think his hand is triple felling.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That was this hand.
Which is never what you're like kind of expecting.
Yep. Which, like, I think then his block would actually just be like Barkskin plus Felling. But I guess seeing you soul a Wrath makes it a little weird, potentially, where it's just like if he doesn't have a D-React, then... I don't know.
We've got almost all the important figments out at this point.
Yeah.
We've got a huge soul bank, so like we're not actually that worried about heralds hitting just yet.
No, that's just numbers for us at this point. I'm actually...
I still want to get
I'm a little curious. You brought Judgment, Figment of Judgment into this matchup. Is it more Angel number 7, or is it actually trying to interact with Banish Zone?
It is Angel number 7 because I do like the Angels so much into Florian. But it's also one when the opportunity arises if they're on like after their first decompose, if I have the opportunity to grab it, I usually will to try and delay them from getting to 8 by a full decompose card.
Yeah, if they're on exactly 8 and you can drop it to 7 or 5 and drop it to 4.
Yeah.
That has mattered for me in the past, but I've had issues getting Angels out onto the board at times where having that extra figment in the deck didn't matter as much. But
yeah. I think with the new Herald, it's a little more consistent to do so.
Sure.
And and this is a matchup where, especially with how defensively he was playing, I'm perfectly fine to just hard cast figments.
Yes.
When they're important ones to draw them.
Yeah, when they are this defensive, absolutely.
All right, I think this was a turn where I made it ends up not hurting me. It ends up kind of working out in the end. But I kind of just flubbed a decision that I had previously made and didn't do it. This was actually a turn I had originally, given how I played, I'd been planning on starting the Angel, like getting War Tune flip, getting Bologna flipped and starting to go.
Oh, on his turn?
Yeah. And I just passed through his end phase without thinking.
Okay.
So that's what in the video, I'm calling myself out like a stupid, forgot to do something. That's what I'm calling out.
Okay. Yeah. They thought it was that you sold the Erudition, but I was like, that Erudition isn't doing anything right now.
No, it wasn't that. It was that I had forgotten to flip the Angel there.
Gotcha.
So, and it ends up, saving War Tune for, Bologna for later, ends up not being bad anyway.
Yeah.
And his life total isn't like so low that it's like a major like must start blocking Angel's threat kind of deal yet.
Yeah. And yours isn't low enough that you're missing the ward 4, so.
Yeah. So the problem is, the hand doesn't do a whole ton except for exactly this, which is try and pull some cards, make the Herald actually matter despite everything because of the rebought Soraya. Because I don't often have, I feel, the runway to rebuy Soraya against Florian. I feel I tend to go a little too low. This was a matchup where I actually did, and so I wanted to take advantage of it.
Yep. Yeah, it's more common to happen in Verdance and like Gravy, but it is
all the time in Gravy.
Oh yeah, like every game almost. But it is not common in this matchup at all. Like it's a weird spot where like you're very comfortable if you're rebuying, if you can afford to rebuy Shariah. So And that was
and
E-Strike at Angel and Felling
yeah,
Face.
and then felling. So I'll
Well,
bottom the erudition, of
yep.
course.
Put that figment to
Easy.
the bottom of our deck. Very happy with that. And then
And
this
then
is...
we are starting to take some damage here. Like
Yeah.
we're starting to go down a bit. But we've finally found the Arclight, so we're just going to do that.
Yep. Play Arclight, buy back the turn cycle, and we're okay with that. And then this is where you double Angel Flip, yeah?
Yeah, this is now for sure the time to start, because now we're presenting, if not exactly close to lethal.
Yeah.
With that.
Yeah, and if he can't present over lethal, like over double Angel to you back, plus you have 2 Spectral Shields.
More after the...
Yeah, you're gonna have at least 3, probably a 4th. Like, it gets hard to present lethal over that. Although
we're at the point where, you know, I'm gonna start declining the second Genesis trigger just because I don't need the soul, and I don't want to accidentally like run myself out of deck if he keeps just kind of blocking.
Yeah, I think 8 cards in soul is a good point to do
yeah,
that.
I'd
Usually,
say so. You probably won't run out at this juncture.
Yeah. But yep, just double flip. Spectral Shields are pulling double duty with the Merciful out. Like,
I do really want to get this Pierce Reality into play, but I want to get my Angel value while I'm taking it now. Because I figure if he's going to clear Angel, like one of the Angels probably, then next turn it's going to be swing 1 Angel, swing a Herald, then play the Pierce, and I've got multiple threats developed again.
Sure. I guess the question in my mind is, if we're like getting him into pseudo-lethal range, is the Herald of Triumph in Arsenal not just better because it's specifically Triumph?
I have Passing Raj in play, so I don't think it's that important.
Yeah, because Triumph would be your second Herald then in my mind.
Yeah. I don't think so. In part because he's on 0 AB, and we've still got the Merciful as well.
Okay.
So and I still have the Erudition in deck as well.
Sure. Yeah.
That we got put back. So I actually don't mind him popping a random Herald at this point.
Okay. That's fair.
Kind of just goes well either way.
Yeah. Which I guess that pop wouldn't happen for like 2 turn cycles, but I think we're not under any pressure for at least 3 turn cycles at this point.
He's just taking a sec to decide if he wants to use his well-grounded.
Which it would make sense if he did. Yeah. He's still holding his armor, which may be a little long at this point, but
yeah.
Oh, and then this was another Arclight plus the Pierce, yeah.
Yeah. Now I do miss a pretty important thing right here.
Yep.
Because it rarely happens that this actually comes up these days.
Yeah.
So he targets the Angel with the Rune Chance on the stack.
Yes, with Rune Chance above the Swarming Gloomveil.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, this is a mistake. You don't do this. If the Prism player catches you, which I failed to do so here, your turn ends.
Yep. So the Prism player can elect to have the Angel take the first Rune Chant or any of the Rune Chants, and the Angel will die to ward. The attack will try to resolve. It will no longer have see a legal target, and the attack will fizzle. Go again will not occur. No on-attack triggers occur. This is the same with Decompose stuff as well. If they go Grasp into Plow Under or Grasp into Felling, and they target an Angel, the same thing happens and they don't get to Decompose. And I think Summer's Fall is the more common occurrence for this, is they want to they want to send the Arcane at you, they want to Summer's Fall at the Angel, and then also bottom an Aura in the same turn. But if they make the Rune Chance, they don't get to Decompose, they don't get to bottom the Aura.
It's kind of pseudo Spectra.
Yeah, it's actually the same interaction as Spectra now.
These days it is, yeah.
After they changed it, but they're basically haloing themselves, like they're giving us a free halo for Ravages when they do this kind of thing.
But I don't catch it, so...
Because this costs you, I think, effectively a Merciful, at least. Because he just ends up sorting Merciful, yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah, essentially. Um,
Because in
which,
my head here, it's let 3 spectral shields take 3 rune chance, deal 3 to him, and
yeah,
then Angel takes the last one, fizzles the swarming,
yeah,
and we go double Genesis Merciful still on the next turn
yeah.
into Arclight, Pierce, Arsenal, a Herald. I think we can get,
Something like that.
or
If
Wrath.
if the resources work out weird, maybe I can't get the arsenal, or maybe I'm like flipping. No, I don't have another angel. Yeah, so probably
Just
just that.
swing Balana with ability or something.
Yeah, exactly. Get her up to 6, and
Yep.
then 7 on the following turn, and it's just lights out at that point.
Yeah. But
Uh,
it ends
as
up
it
being
is, we're just
fine.
going, yeah, Arclight Pierce. Here's the third Light of Soul. We do get a ace because again, I'm looking at the clock. We still have over 17 minutes, but in the end games, things can still drag a little bit. So I'm still thinking going fast, and I go a little too fast right there.
Yep.
On Light of Soul, we end up getting a bit of a judge call over the uh, mistimed trigger and the quick reveal before we could get that in there. Fortunately, it was a whiff, so that was the Light of Soul that whiffed.
Yep.
And it wasn't. I didn't gain any advantage off of it, so I got a warning, and we're just able to proceed like normal. Um, and I think it also helped the fact that the 2 cards could technically have been played in either order, so
Sort of, yeah.
it didn't sort of, yeah. Like,
But
the Pierce was from Arsenal, so it's not like I could have,
yeah.
I hit Light of Soul, pitch the Pierce now or do anything. So
Yep.
the only play I could have made
Yes.
regardless was what I did.
Yes, that's true.
So yeah, find the riches. All I do is use it to filter out riches
Which is
for
fine.
a little more gas. Which is, yeah, the gold is very flexible. It is never bad to have. I just, yeah, as we discussed earlier, there were better chances to use it early in the game.
Mhm.
Um,
Gorg Tome is still
so
a decent card sometimes. So,
yes,
but this is kind of, he's at 8, and we have passing Pierce on the board, which is just like, it's such a lethal combination in these games.
Yeah.
It's something I play to like very actively at this point. Like,
and now we get the Soraya back, and he used to it.
yeah, and because you're just gonna go Shariah, flip, draw 2, send Balana, Arsenal, presumably a Herald, and
yeah. So not a very clean game from me, but one where a lot of stuff just went right. We hit our Light of Souls, we drew our auras on like after the double Genesis turn.
Yep.
Managed to sneak in some extra hits when his hand was a little awkward.
Yeah,
with
a couple Herald hits that I was surprised by. In all honesty, for just like, I don't think it necessarily ended up mattering, but it did. What it did give you, it wasn't the soul that mattered. It was getting the extra figments out on board, and you had War ready to go. You had Avalon ready to go, which just, you could freely get Shariah back as like the finisher. So even those like kind of seemingly innocuous Herald hits turning into figments matters a lot in this matchup.
Yeah. For any Florians out there, like I said, Prism, we just want our figments out of deck.
Yep.
If you can soul starving is one thing. Figment starving is the killer.
Yes,
really.
100%. Like, that is the fastest way to fizzle a pivot from Prism, is just make sure they don't get a second Angel on board, because they're always going to Halo for one of them. But if they never get a second, that'll stuff it real quick. So yeah.
So not clean, but this is exactly the kind of run out we want against Florian, and it made the matchup look way better than it used.
Yeah. This is what it felt like kind of on Rosetta release. It felt more like this, and it was just like, we're gonna kind of get to do the thing eventually, and it has not looked like this often in recent times.
Yeah.
So
I've found a lot of Florians have been playing more aggressively and to me have been better about pushing damage. And like, I don't think we saw a single Somersault that entire game. I don't know if he was even on it. That is like the house card. into us.
It's very good. It's like E-Strike for 6, except they also get to block with a second card on their turn. So it's a 2-card hand
Mhm.
instead of a 3-card hand. Like
Yeah.
it's an extremely efficient like go again is what I equate it to. So
Yeah.
yeah. Um, any other final thoughts on this one?
I think we covered everything. Um, yeah, I think we're good on this one.
Cool.
uh,
Well, that's going to close this one out, and we'll go hop over and go to your top 8 game.
oh boy.